Okay, let me go ahead and get started. My name is Jesse. I have decided that this is going to be my investment. And I was thinking about how, let me fix my hat here. That's correct. Okay, no, that ain't good. No. Okay, I was thinking about how I have reached a certain stage in life and it demands that I do something. Um, I guess a Bible verse would be appropriate to those who a lot has been given, much is expected. I have no desire to start a store, sell merchandise, talk to customers on a regular basis. It just doesn't interest me. But one of the things that I would consider myself an expert in, a product that I can represent well, is my philosophy, my viewpoint on life. Now, many people will disagree. It's about cough drops in water. It always happens. But many people may disagree. But you got to ask yourself, after it's all done, can you honestly say that you feel well? Not after you have consumed all the cheap pleasures that you want to consume, all the drugs that you want to consume, all the alcohol, all the orgies. I mean, while you're in the moment, you probably think you're having fun. While you're laughing it up with friends in a bar, you probably think you're having fun. Okay, so let me start at the beginning. This is an effort to help people with their pain and suffering. Whether that pain and suffering comes from disappointments in life, chemical imbalances, depression, and anxiety, we have the ability to think in good terms, but we also have the ability to think in bad terms. And unfortunately, to society teaches us to think in bad terms. And right there, if I'm after having looked at everything, I'm going to have to say that our challenges come from what our environment has taught us. We have been culturally conditioned to think in bad terms, in negative terms. And I'm going to open up my notepad here in a little while, but before I get there, many of us, before we even start, have to practice relaxation therapy. So we're able to think in a rested manner, think clearly. And when we're agitated, either through depression or anxiety, we're just not able to think in a clear manner. And that's why we need to practice relaxation therapy. And then we need to go from relaxation therapy to get at the heart of the problem. And the heart of the problem are emotions. The reason we're not at peace is because of our emotional turmoil. And the reason we have emotional turmoil is because of what we are thinking. That's not to belittle things that have happened, divorces, living in an abusive relationship, not having received the appropriate type of emotional enrichment from parents. Those are realities. However, we define those realities. When we're children, nobody can blame us for jumping to the wrong conclusion. When we're children, especially if there are not people there to help us jump to the right conclusion, to help us find that emotional balance. So we relax, we're able to think clearly, and we little by little, we examine our emotions. And the rule of thumb that I use is this an emotion I am in charge of? Or is this an emotion that is a result of other people, the way other people interact with me? Excuse me, I'm sorry. I started, so now I'm just gonna have to suffer through it. I should have bought water or cough drops. But the point being is, I can control me, and you should be empowered. You shouldn't be afraid. Fear is traumatic. When we start to look at our lives and automatically we become afraid, and then we become afraid of that pain and suffering that comes from that fear. So fear is traumatic, and it keeps us from looking at our lives. But you shouldn't be, because you're in charge. You're in control. You're powerful. You're powerful because you're in control of your thoughts, what you think. And if you're in control of your thoughts, you're in control in what you feel. For the most part, we cannot control sensations. I have added sensations because I realized it is a part of the human dynamic. Hot and cold, hungry, those are sensations. Sexual desire, those are sensations that we, for the most part, cannot control. It's not that we're eroticized, is that we were made to be a husband, we were made to be a wife, and our own body is trying to get us close to someone where we'll make children and we'll form a family, because that's the way it's supposed to be, not the way it was supposed to be. That's the way it is supposed to be. So let us review. We start by relaxation therapy, and relaxation therapy is breathing. I've written articles on it, I've done videos on it, always to the same point. Because if you're an agitated person, if you're a depressed person, if you're a person with anxiety, which is fear, and there's nothing wrong. See, that's the problem. We automatically assume the worst, and we start to become afraid. We start to we talk ourselves into saying that we can't deal with this depression. We can't deal with this fear, and we can, because it's in our mind. It's things that we are creating, and we're creating them with our thoughts. And some emotions are justified. Some emotions are justified. It's just a matter of putting them in their place. If somebody dies that you love and you care for a lot, if the person you consider your world dies, it's understandable you're going to have sadness, maybe even depression. What's not understandable is wanting to stay in that state of mind. Now, I'm forming the foundation. This is what this is. This Facebook page, these videos on YouTube are specifically dedicated to helping the individual be free, gain independence from pain and suffering. And everything is included. Politics. Politics matter. Education matters. Crime matters. Religion matters. Faith matters. So there's going to be videos on everything. I realized I was doing a search, and I found out that one of the services that I used to post articles on closed my account, and all that wisdom is gone. Cannot be recaptured. I couldn't begin to uh, redo over 400 articles on all subjects. And the information is important because I see it every day. Excuse me. In my life, I see broken people, people with no clue, people suffering, aimlessly wandering through the world trying to find something, but they don't even know what it is they're looking for. And I understand that most people cannot be reached. I understand that. This isn't about reaching everybody. The message is very simple. We are in charge, and we can have a pleasant life by thinking positive, by being optimistic, by having hope, by looking at what's good and decent in life, focusing on what's good and decent in life. I'm very security orientated. I believe in security. I believe in firearms. I believe in self-defense. I believe in pepper spray. I believe in knowing the law. I believe in being on guard, looking around yourself, not being distracted. If somebody's coming to harm you, you should catch that person before they get anywhere near you. And if you have assessed them as a threat, you should have the proper weapon to defend yourself. A handgun isn't always the proper weapon. Sometimes you have to choose between a handgun and pepper spray or a stun gun. In Texas, you're permitted a stun gun. In Texas, you're permitted 4 ounces of pepper spray. In Texas, you can drive with a firearm in your vehicle. You can have a firearm in your home. You can get a concealed weapons license if you want. I'm fortunate enough to what I do in the live is to earn a living. I don't need a concealed weapons license. Okay, so fully balanced life, all issues considered. And let me go ahead and open up my notepad because I am a person who happens to believe dearly in. See here, I got several systems working. That one's not going to work. What do I want to do? I want to open my notepad. So that would be the here. Let me see here. There we go. And I got to move myself out of the way. Oops, moving the wrong thing out of the way. That's what happens when you're dealing with technology and you're not prepared. No, I don't want to move that out of the way. Let me see here. Gotta get, aha, found it. Okay, so I got that done there. Now let me get to where I can see and read my notepad. Okay, and the first thing here is rambling thoughts. We want to solve the problems of the world. We want to solve our own personal problems. We have rambling thoughts because we're letting life just go. We're not in touch with life. We're not wanting to, how should we say, deal with the issues of life. And because we're failing to deal with the issues of life, we're always having these thoughts that are just in and out, over 100, over 200 thoughts, and we just can't focus on anything, and we're afraid of everything, and everything's costing us agitation. We don't want to think about our money. We don't want to think about our problems at work. We don't want to think about our romantic problems. we'll you know, an idea will pop in about romance, and then an idea about economy, and then an idea about politics, an idea about family and friends, and it's all these ideas, but we don't sit down and concentrate and find an answer to our thoughts, to our issues, and that does lead to agitation. It's going to lead to agitation because we're a human being. Because now we're afraid of life, and we've convinced ourselves that there's no reason to have hope, that everything's always going to go wrong. I'm going to say this as going to say a lot of people are going around saying everything sucks, nothing works, why bother? That leads to agitation. That leads to anxiety, which is fear, and that leads to depression, sadness. Okay, and then of course pain, hurt, pain and suffering. That's where we go from there. And that pain and suffering is the manifestation of anxiety, which is fear, and depression. And what do we do with it? What do we do with all this stress? Say, organization is valuable in life. But you don't bug people. You don't bug your husband. You don't bug your wife. You don't go around saying, this is wrong with you and you need to fix it. You're not a manager. In a relationship, you're not a relationship manager. That's not your function in a relationship. Say, and too many of us think we need to tell that person how to behave. That person is the problem. No, we are the problem because our peace is internal. And we're in charge of our peace with our thoughts. Okay. But these get to get to the point, and this is where I think right now the majority of people are right now. Inability to enjoy life. There's a scientific word of psychology that describes people that no longer get any joy from the melody of the song or the taste from food. It's not food, it's a taste. Whether it be a beverage or whether it be a meal. They can no longer enjoy friendships, no longer enjoy family, can't enjoy comedy or romance, action adventure, or won't take a walk because they won't enjoy it. They neglect their pets, neglect their children, and it's all because, okay, and now I'm going to go as I have it written down. Now, when we get to this inability to enjoy life and we get back to pain and suffering, it just adds to the pain and suffering. Okay, to what I call hurt. And that right there is how, if you want modern day depression is because of the inability to enjoy life, which leads to pain and suffering, which leads to depression. And it leads to anxiety, it leads to fear. And what we're doing is we're masking the pain with the consumption of cheap pleasure. That's why I started with alcohol and drugs and orgies, a bunch of people looking at cat and dog videos on YouTube because they're trying to mask the depression. If they sit there alone, not doing anything, those thoughts are going to start to float to the top. Okay, and another thing that's going on is where you got anger when things don't work out the way we thought. Okay, we're we're, we're telling ourselves, our friends have, my friends have invited me. This is what we're telling ourselves. My friends have invited me to go out. I'm gonna go out. I'm gonna drink. Maybe do a little bit of drugs, and if I'm lucky, I'll have a sexual encounter or two. Some people are looking for romance, but when things don't work out, we start to get angry at life. And one of the things to consider is not 100%. I'm going to tell you one thing though. Um, Everybody hurts. You can run into people who do have perfect lives, perfect lives. Even they have moments of pain and suffering. That is the one human constant. Everybody hurts. That song is correct. Everybody does hurt. What do we do with it? Now, when I started psychology, I never put much interest into this. I put interest into the science of psychology. But it is obvious to me now that a lot of the times that we want to do something and we're not able to do it is the direct result of the influence of dark forces that we don't understand. And when you're talking about science, and I believe in science, I believe in the science of psychology, I believe in neurotransmitters and chemicals in the brain, which are neurotransmitters, and the the neurons and the brain cells and brain cell functioning and stress and parents not knowing how to love their children and parents abusing their children. Freud was right. Freud was 100% correct. Adult problems are the manifestation of unresolved childhood issues. 100%. But some people get through childhood into adulthood just fine, perfect, no problems. And in adulthood, they start to experience problems. Failures in romance, failures in employment, failures in education, failures in friendship. They're nice and decent people, but they get thrown out of apartments they're renting. Or they lose a job and the home they bought foreclosed. It's foreclosed on them, they lose it. So, but what do we do with it? You would think that losing a home is a great, big, significant issue. Okay, it is. You can't do anything about it. You can't do anything about it. It's happened. It's the reality of life. I think we're brats. We're spoiled brats. We happen to believe that everything should work out the way we want it to work out in a statement period. What happens if things don't work out the way we want them to work out? Okay? And for me, it is important that no matter what, we have a healthy perspective on life. And after looking at everything, and let me go ahead and just close this issue right here and now, because I have to. You cannot, baseball cap still wrong. We can't start talking about issues of life and not mention God. I, I, I was tortured in the College of Liberal Arts at something that calls its university called the University of Texas at El Paso. And you would think that a liberal arts degree would be easy to get, but if you're of my mindset, you're just in conflict with those instructors that are not professors. So I had to go to the College of Science. And I took the biology. Struggling, I was not meant to be a college. I was meant to be a doer, not sitting somewhere listening to somebody. But I took the biology. Not one course in biology, over 5 courses in biology, over 5 courses in geology, only 2 courses in astronomy, which now is called cosmology, and In my adult life, I've seen a lot of documentaries, and let me tell you that evolution is a lie. If you're smart, you look into it. There's no such thing as evolutionary theory, because in order for it to become a theory, it has to get past the paradigms of the scientific method, and you cannot use a scientific method on what is called evolutionary theory. What you cannot do is you can't test it. That's a scientific method. A manner in which data is evaluated through testing in order to form a conclusion. And you can have a hypothesis, you can have a theory, and you can have a law. A law is something that will always happen 100% of the time. And a theory, let's just say 90% of the time. And of course, a hypothesis is you just don't know. You believe, and you're going to test this hypothesis using the scientific method. And then after the scientific method, you have either gathered enough evidence to prove your hypotheses or you haven't. And evolution cannot be put through the different steps of the scientific method in order to get a conclusion. I hear these so-called, Neil deGrasse, and have to speak on this issue, because if you're speaking on the issue of life, you have to speak on this issue. And your life matters to me. I wouldn't be here if your life didn't matter to me. Your happiness, your joy, your satisfaction. A better society is not formed when government takes over control over people's life. A better society is formed when people are empowered by being in control of their lives and their thoughts and their emotions, when life is not a torturous hell. That's how you build a better society. You build a better society with better people, not government control of life. So I have to speak on this issue. And when you're speaking on the issue of life, you have to speak on the issue of God, faith, and spirituality. And everything that I have studied in biology, in geology, in astronomy, all the documentaries that I have seen, I can honestly tell you evolution did not happen. God can make a universe, a solar system, a planet with age. He didn't have to go through this big bang and this explosion and what have you. Scientists are doing nothing more than forming hypotheses that can't prove. I don't just talk. This is something scientists, a technique of scientists. They have devices that measure light. Let's just stick with that. And they look way out into the universe, way out past our solar system. And they're receiving light. But at a point in time, that light grows lower. And their hypothesis is the reason for that is because the light is coming from a sun, and a planet is going in front of the sun. And when the planet goes in front of the sun, that makes the light less. Hold on. From that, they're saying, well, this planet, because of our measurements of light, is this much distance away from that sun. Not our sun, that sun. And if it's that much distance away from that sun, then it's the same distance as a planet Earth from its sun. Therefore, it's an Earth-like planet. They have no way of proving anything that you have just said. But that's the conclusions they're coming to. And they're basic assumptions. There's nothing you can prove. Evolution, form and function. God created members of the same species with distinct qualities for form and function. Even though it's the same kind of bird, it has a different type of beak or a different type of color, because it's supposed to perform a specific function. Form is related to function. It's like the human beings. I'm sort of tall, and then there's sort of small people. We all have different form, and we have different functions. Okay, we're still the same human, but because of our different form, our different length, we can do different things. Now, I have said this before. God justifies God. I have sensed the Holy Spirit. I can tell you by personal experience that God exists because I have sensed the Holy Spirit. When you're talking about issues of life, as much as it upsets people, as much as I run the risk of pushing away the audience, I can't lie. If I want you to have a life free, if I want you to gain your independence from pain and suffering, then I got to give you all information. And that information includes God. And I have sensed the Holy Spirit. I understand what good, decent, innocent, righteous, pure, humble, meek. I'm going to share this. As this year is finishing, I came to the conclusion that I have to grow up more. That I can't keep. It is not a proper defense against an attack to form a negative perception of someone. I don't know whether to laugh at this or cry at this, but I had a customer yesterday, and many customers are annoying. But as I'm putting his luggage in my taxi, another man runs up yelling at that guy, and he says, "Hey, that's mine." And the "that's mine" he was talking about was his luggage. And the customer that I was going to take had two luggage, but in reality, only one belonged to him. And it was obvious after they were talking that they came in the same taxi from Mexico. But the customer I had knew he only had one luggage. Why did he walk away with the other man's luggage? Now, the point being is that obvious to me is a criminal. Someone who was trying to take advantage of the situation to steal something from another person. Okay, fact. However, I cannot, even with that information, I cannot negatively judge the customer who took the luggage that didn't belong to him. See? That's a problem in our society. We're putting too much attention on them. We're not putting enough attention on us. And that relates to God, because if we were godly, moral, we wouldn't take somebody else's luggage. We wouldn't take somebody's anything, especially their joy. We would be peaceful people. We would be humble people, meek people, people who focus on ourselves and have no interest in harming our neighbor, whether by judging them, um, sneering, growling. I see a lot of that in society. Dirty looks, even write down verbally abusive language. God is real. He created everything. I can tell you that I will put faith and spirituality a little bit before psychology. Before you can get to good psychology, you got to get to a good relationship with God. And I'll leave it at that. In my view of good mental health, excuse me, get back to my notepad here. I believe that the way we deal with all the anxiety, all the depression, everything that our culture conditions us to the negative is by starting to focus on fun. Of course, first you go to relaxation therapy, and then you go through emotional management, where you start asking yourself, am I in charge? Am I doing this to myself? If I'm doing it to myself, how do I fix it? How do I stop being afraid? How do I stop being more positive? How do I control my thoughts? Focus on what's good and decent, okay? And once you get through relaxation therapy, emotional management, then you get into positive psychology. And positive psychology is about enjoying life by having fun. Whether that fun for you is literature or music, you should have good friends, not bad friends. Not friends who speak with vulgarity, bad words, want to talk about orgies. Okay? Family is important. Good family is important. Sometimes you have to put distance between family. And of course, there's recreation and everything else that is fun. That's what it's come down to. Being a person of God doesn't mean you have to be a sour individual, a miserable individual. You can be a happy person, grateful for what you have, enjoying what you have. So here, this is a effort. Oops, what did I do wrong now? Okay. This is an effort to help people. And you, I find it strange. I find it strange that I have to do these videos to help people understand things that are just, things that are just so basic in life. Very basic in life. So basic that any of us could understand them. And what you got to do, see, is I can talk forever. Trust me. Ask people. They'll tell you, oh, yeah, Jesse can talk forever. The only thing is I'm not saying stupid stuff. The world out there is telling you stupid stuff. I'm sorry, it is. Every day you're receiving buckets full of stupidity. And it's contributing to the manner in which you want to live. And if you honestly do everything that you believe to be correct, and at the end of it, not while you're doing it, at the end of it, after the fact, you feel good, then I have no argument with you. But if you do everything that you believe you should have done, and at the end of it, you're still sad, you're still depressed, you're still filled with anxiety, then I'm going to have to suggest that you want to reconsider your philosophy of life, your attitudes, your negativity. Okay, if you want to be an ugly, people want to be ugly people. There's people you're never going to convince not to be ugly. Co-workers, even family, brothers and sisters spend their time knocking each other down, and friends do the same thing. It seems to be a practice. Let's see how much harm we can cause each other. If you want to do that, just remember you've chosen. You've chosen loneliness. You've chosen the ire of society. People are not going to look at you as a nice person. But the most ironic thing is gang members think that they're correct. And they have a negative opinion of everybody else. And again, I'm a firm believer in security. You have to defend yourself. I believe in that 100%. Won't apologize for it. Have to be on guard. Have to know what's going on around you. You have to be prepared physically. You have to run. You have to lift weights. You have to practice self-defense. You have to know the law. Okay. But it is possible to think yourself happy. And it is possible to get out of your negativity, your sense of hopelessness, helplessness, and little by little start building a life that you want to have. That is possible. Thank you for listening, and I wish you well.